All right, Michael, what are we doing today?
All right, well, today is a little bit different. Today it is not Nathan behind the camera, it is Daniel, my brother, behind the camera. And the reason for that is because our dad, he's turning 70 at the end of the year in November. And to celebrate that, we want to do something really special for him and give him a present that we think would really mean a lot to him, and something that's a little bit different and got a little bit of meaning behind it. In his younger years, he spent a lot of time building and modifying a lot of cars in the 70s and 80s and even through the 90s. That has been one of the biggest inspirations that has led Daniel and I to sort of follow in his footsteps and try and build stuff like this. Or even my HQ. My HQ, my Sandman, was built in the family shed back at home when I grew up with my dad. Dad taught me how to do it, and then he also did the same for my brother, building a multitude of cars for him as well too. So we want to say thank you. As I said, Dad had many cars back in the day. You know, HQs, HTs, HZs, but there's always been one that has stood out from the pack, and that is a HQ Monaro coupe. And it was that HQ coupe that has pretty much been the biggest inspiration to me growing up. I just absolutely loved it. And a dream of ours has always been to purchase a HQ coupe and build him or replicate that exact same car that he had back in that day. Now, finances and budgets will not allow that to happen. HQ coupes, they're worth a hell of a lot of money, and it's not something that we have within our scope. So unfortunately, buying a whole car is not going to be something that we can achieve, but it is something that we might be able to do on a smaller scale. So what is the plan? The plan is, Daniel and I, we're going to take this model of a HQ coupe right here, and we're going to modify this. I know there might be a few people out there that are cringing right now because it's a really nice model. I've already looked at it and I'm going to feel really bad about sort of destroying this thing to change it all up. But it's sort of something that has to be done in order to make this project work. Now, what did that car look like? Well, it kind of looked like this. We have some reference photos, and these are pretty much one of the few reference photos that are in...
This is all we've got.
This is pretty much all we've got to work with. There is not many photos around, but this is what it looked like. So as you can see, it wasn't exactly your standard HQ Monaro, at least it didn't look anything like a standard HQ Monaro. What it was, from our understanding, is it was a LS Monaro. It started off life as a 6-cylinder, but what it ended up being was HQ Monaro coupe with a HZ Statesman front end on it, or it might have even been a Caprice with what used to be fairly common back in the day, the cutout bumper bar and an extended grille to go the full length. It had a HZ lip on the bottom of it. It's Tirana A9X scoop in it, and it also had the later series rear spoiler on it as well too, from like a HZ or a HX or something like that. It had a HZ flutes in it, it ran Bathurst globes, it had the full aluminium trib along the bottom as well too, and it had Ford LTD tail lights in the rear bar as well too. So it is a really sort of like 70s or 80s inspired build. Like it sort of was really sort of out there, a little wild. It ran a 350 Chev with a 5-speed Sagnor gearbox in it, and this was Dad's pride and joy back in the day.
There's a lot of different various parts on here that this HQ model doesn't have. Like this is going to be, when we open this box up, you'll see it is basically a stock standard HQ Monaro. So in order to make this happen, we're going to need to heavily modify this thing and put a lot of extra parts and pieces onto it. And one way that we're going to do that is, Daniel?
This is the spare parts car.
Yeah.
Kind of like Nathan's Fairlane at the moment. We're just going to take what we can from this to put it onto this to make it as close as we can to replicate this car.
So yeah, effectively, we need to make that car look like this car, so we bought a parts car at a 1/18 scale.
Can we write Fairlane on the front of this box?
You could.
We've never done anything like this scale or pulled apart model like this before, so this is all new to the both of us. So we'll have to learn on the job, and we're going to practice on the parts car first so we don't stuff up this one.
Yeah, so anyway, let's get them out of the box and see what we're dealing with, shall we?
It always feels terrible destroying something that says collectibles on it.
I know.
So.
I hate the fact that it says limited edition as well too. Especially that one. So for those that don't know, these are a classic collectibles, whatever they're called. Pretty high end, they're pretty fancy. I've got a few of them actually myself that I keep on display of my cars, similar to my cars and such. And they are a limited run, and you can't buy them new anymore. You have to buy them second hand. That one cost a lot more money than this one did, so that one's obviously more desirable.
But I'm really hoping that's not a certificate on top.
It is. It is.
Oh, sorry.
It feels really bad, doesn't it?
It does.
Wait till you see it.
Feels terrible. Ooh.
See what I mean? These are really, really nice models.
Yeah, so this has majority of the parts, the big parts that we really want from this car. So the spoiler is one of them, mainly the whole front clip essentially. So basically from here onwards.
That is basically the main reason why we bought this car, because of all the headlights and stuff. The grille won't work because, as you can see, this is a full length grille, but we're gonna have to 3D print this grille to replace it. Anyway, that's the parts car. I feel really bad for it. Now let's look at the good car, or the car that we're going to be using as the base. Now, that's a nice model. I do like that model, but if I'm honest, I absolutely love this model because the purple HQ Coupe with white stripes, it just looks so good in the HQ Coupe. And this model looks really, really good because of it. And I feel extra bad destroying this model, but it is gorgeous. But we're putting it to a good cause, so... Yeah, that's what we're going to keep telling ourselves. We're putting it to a good cause. So this is her in all its glory. This was pretty expensive. This cost about 400 bucks, I think we paid for this, because like I said, this one is more valuable, or at least more sought after, because it is a really, really nice example of a HQ Coupe. Now, straight up, you might be wondering, why did we go ahead and buy this version of the model in particular? Because there's plenty of other models out there Collectibles make in Monaro Coupe that we could have used. For example, we could have used a HZ or a HX or a HJ Coupe Monaro, and we would have gotten much closer to our final result. Some of them come with the spoiler already. They come with the HZ front end with the flutes and everything. They even have the rear spoiler, but there are a few things that they're missing. None of them have the twin headlights, only single headlights. But the biggest issue is, and the hardest thing to get, was finding a HQ Monaro model that has a 350 in it. So this is the only version that comes with a 350 Chev in it, and Dad's car had a 350 Chev in it. So for the point of keeping it to as close as possible to the real thing, I had to go with this one because I needed that 350 Chev. All the other ones, just like this one, have the 308s in it, and they obviously have different style engine bays because of that, as you can see. And another reason why I bought this one is because this one has the white interior. Dad's Monaro had the white interior with the houndstooth as well too, from what we can tell. And just very faintly, you can see white seats. So the first step is, before we actually start pulling these two things apart, is we're going to do a 3D scan of these things. The reason why is we want to get a baseline of what these things look like. We want to scan the entire cars, top and bottom, so that way if we break something while we're trying to pull this apart, we can try and reprint it if need be. That was cool. Alright, so we have our scan. So this is the coupe. That's all done. It looks a little bit lumpy because it's in Creality. When you export it, it gets a lot smoother. But at the moment, that's sort of what we got. It's all we really need. We don't need to go into too much detail. It's only so we can get a rough idea if we need to recreate something. And we also have our HZ as well too. So the sedan is done as well. They look really good, really happy with the result. We've got the spoiler. That was the most important thing, because that might be the thing we have to remake if something goes wrong. And the front clip, so we're looking good. All right, so now the plan is we're gonna start to see how we can disassemble this and open it up. So let's get to it.
I think we're going to start with the spoiler, and we're going to start with trying to move these back sections here, because from what I can tell, it's probably just glued on there. So I'm hoping that we can maybe use a bit of fishing wire to sort of get in behind it and just cut away as much glue as we can before we try to pop it off. And I think, fingers crossed, the first part we're about to break on this wonderful little model. Please?
Nope.
So what's it holding with?
Just glue, and it's got a hole in it. Oop, there it goes. That's up. Yeah, that's good.
Feels like that's got all that up to that pin.
Okay, that's what we bought a whole nother model for that spoiler. Tell me your secrets. How do you work? Looks like they're just...
Oh, that's good.
That's good, because that means... How's the fact that the disc actually spins inside the caliper?
I know, it's pretty insane. There we go.
So, ooh, little tiny screws in there.
Good.
I'll go get the screwdriver. Oh, there's 4 of them. I didn't see them with the wheels in place. Sneaky.
Body's coming off.
Little tiny screws. Now, do you reckon it's going to be as simple as the whole... Oh!
Yep. Something's holding the front by the looks of it. Is that a pin? What's that?
I don't know if it is. See, I think it maybe just come out and back. Oh, hang on, here it is. There's 2 screws behind the front bumper. This front bumper we need. Hey! These are worth a lot of money in real life if they're good. Oh!
Okay.
Hello. Hey, look at that. That's a whole GDS front end. So that's good, we'll keep that over there. It's just like in real life, you get the whoa. There we go.
Well, now we know how to do it.
Now it's like a beetle. What I'm seeing now though is a lot of glued in pieces, which is scary. HG buckets? HJ buckets? Look at this.
That's insane.
Really? You couldn't even get your finger in there to do that.
It's actually insane that you can pull it down this much. It's actually so good.
Dude, bonnet comes off. Real HQ hinges too.
Actually work, that's so cool.
Here you go, you want a door? Oh, we can swap the doors. Oh no, they're like different lengths.
We'll have to extend them a bit.
This one looks so pretty. Mighty 350 is still okay. Look at that.
A little bit of glue.
There we go. Put this on Marketplace, 60 grand. I know what I got. Well, we are finished up for the day. We're going to call it here because basically where we're at now is we need to transplant one front to the other, which is going to involve cutting the front off and JB welding it to the other side by the looks of it, because this is made out of an alloy. So you can't weld it, and even if we could weld it, it's probably too delicate for us to do so. We have an idea on how we're going to do it. What we think we're going to do is we're going to use a die grinder, and we're going to cut it at the top of the A pillar on both like that, and then we're going to cut right below the A pillar there, and this spot here as well too, both exactly the same. Should give us about a mil and a little bit more gap, mil and a bit gap, which we should hopefully be able to fill with some JB weld and then sand it back. But the biggest issue that we're going to have is trying to make sure that this still stays straight, or basically is jigged up. So we're going to try and come up with a jig of some sort. So yeah, we even considered cutting it at the roof as well too, but we found out that the roof is actually not the same. So this is wider than the sedan. So if you put this on, the bottoms match, it's the same, but this is wider than the roof. So the roof here is 65 mil and this is 70 mil wide. So there is a difference, unfortunately. And that's something that we need to consider when we're putting it back together. Yep, all right, so yeah, until we see you next time. Okay, so it's a few days later now, and the time has come where we're gonna finally commit and cut and shut these two bodies to make one body shell. Now the biggest issue that we have, or that we can sort of think about as we're trying to figure out how we're gonna do this, is alignment. So if we cut the front off this and then try and
JB weld it to the front of this, we're gonna make sure that our alignment is correct. Otherwise our door jambs and everything aren't gonna line up and it won't look right. We're trying to figure out the best way to go about that right now. Originally we were talking about we were gonna try and sit the models on this once we've cut the front end off, and that we're gonna sit the two parts on top of these shells here and try and use the original chassis to line them up using the original bolt holes and stuff. Although they look very similar where the bolt hole locations are, like these ones down here, there's about 2 mil difference between them in length, which means that using those chassis to get the alignment right won't work. So what I ended up doing was I ended up flipping this over the other day after we finished up, and you can see all my dots. I ended up scanning the entire underneath of this chassis. The reason being is I ended up designing and making a mini chassis jig. This is a mini chassis jig. It's about the smallest chassis jig you're probably ever gonna see. And the idea is it's going to sit in like this. It utilizes the bolt holes at the back here, just behind the back wheels, which both have, and then utilizes 2 bolt holes there and the front bolt holes on the radiator support panel here. The idea is that it should sit flat like that. We should then be able to put the screws in, bolt it all into place, and then be able to glue it into place, and this will keep everything aligned and neat. And hopefully, if it works, mean that we end up getting all our alignment correct and all our doors and everything will then work and such. So we don't really know. It's a little bit of a risk because basically if we stuff this up, we ruin not only 1 but 2 shells, which means then we'd have to go and get a 3rd shell, which we don't really want to do. But we're going to try it today and see how we go. We're probably going to cut it long, and then we're going to cut this one down to where we think we want our cut to be, and then just keep trimming and grinding pieces off this piece until we can get it to sit hard up and flush against the front of this. And then we're going to use good old JB weld to weld it together, and we're going to hope that it sticks. Fingers crossed. This is where we're at. The time has come. This is probably the scariest part of the whole model. After that, hopefully it should be fairly well smooth sailing. So
yeah, there's no returning after this cut. This is the one.
We could put these back together at the moment. After this, not so much. All right. Only one thing to do but to cut it. Straight it is. That was it. Front clip, HQ. I know what I got.
Pretty straight actually, it's pretty good.
So that means that gives us, hopefully, this whole face and this bottom section here, purchase area for the glue and everything. Now we're going to take this bottom piece off.
Yeah.
It's just that.
A little bit high.
Yeah. Getting a lot of stuff in the face. Getting the front bolted onto our chassis jig. That looks fine. Now the back, when we put that on, we are about 3 mil short, which is probably about the distance that the front sills need to come up to the guard. So I think we're okay. We're just going to keep trimming. Yeah, we could. And
Looks cool already.
overall, I'm pretty stoked with that. Like, we've done a really good job of it. It actually looks pretty good already.
you wouldn't know that that's not joined right now. Like you would think that's joined, that's how good the gaps are.
Yeah. So the only issue that we're having at the moment is there's a bit of a banana to it. So this bottom sill here is actually lifting up, and I designed the jig so that it would sit flat on a flat surface so that this bottom sill would be level to the bottom of the jig here. To get around that, we'll notice all we need to do is apply pressure to this top sill here, and it pulls everything pretty much into alignment. Doors, guards, everything lines up, panel gaps look good. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a screw through this existing hole here and drill it into, at this stage it looks like it's going to be my bench. I've got a hole there I could already use. That'll keep it all in situ, all tight and good, we think. But you can see how it works. It just bolts on to all the key locations on the frame itself. So all that data, those locations of where these holes are, was picked straight off the scan data. That's it. 0.02 of a mil accuracy, and you can see that because it is lined up absolutely perfect.
Yep.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to basically set the jig up how we think it's going to work. Then we're going to mix some JB weld. Then we will separate this, run our JB weld on all the joins where we're going to have it, and then bring it back together. This bottom section will definitely require sanding because it's going to have the body. The glue is just pulled in, I can hear it smushing. See, this one closes up, but if I pull this down on the back, that line gets better. What about that line? How's that one looking? Look, I'm not going to touch it much more than what I already have. I think it's probably okay. All right, we're going to leave it there. We're going to let it set overnight, and probably then some, and come back to this with hopefully something that looks a little more like this. Okay, well, it's been a couple of weeks now actually. We haven't really filmed much since we glued this in place, but basically to give you an idea of what's been happening is after we glued this, I left it for about 24 hours before I released it from the table and it sort of jigged. Took it off the jig, as you can see, and what we have ended up with is actually a really, really strong and secure body. It looks pretty legit. Door gaps and everything have turned out really, really well. This one opens up really nicely and closes. You get a really nice door jamb. And the same with this one here. This one is even better again. Really nice. And overall, I'm really, really happy with the process. I think it's actually turned out really, really well. This jig was honestly a lifesaver. We definitely couldn't have done it without it because it gave us the ability to line this up pretty much near perfect and then just bolt it all down and pull it tight and get the alignment and everything right. From here, what we need to do is we need to basically clean this up a little bit, give it a sand, and then start looking at actually painting this body so then we can start assembling it. However, in the meantime, what I have been doing is I've been doing a lot of printing of stuff or testing materials. I've been doing a lot of designing on CAD, trying to get the rest of the parts that we're going to need printed for this thing. So I've been working on a hood scoop. As you can see, it doesn't look like much, but this is supposed to be an A9X Tirana hood scoop. That's going to go onto the bonnet like so. We're just going to glue that down, but we're probably going to have to paint the bonnet and paint this before we actually do that. This doesn't look like much of a piece and it doesn't look that very complicated, but I assure you that it was. It took me nearly a whole day to CAD it because it actually had to follow the contour and the angle of this bonnet both this way and that way. And I was able to do that through the scan data that I took of this thing and then model it. And it has a lot of little tiny features that you'll never ever see or really even notice when once this is on the car, on the model, and no one will even think twice of it. But for me, I know how much work it went into it. And I'm pretty happy with the result. I printed it out of PLA, which is what I think I'm going to make all of the accessories out of, because PLA is going to be the most detailed, I think. On top of that, I have been working on making the wheels. So, a fair bit of work that's gone into these. If I show you here, a few different designs. They're all a Bathurst style wheel, obviously, and they're just sort of either using different materials or different nozzle diameters and everything to try and get the most detailed and accurate lines you can possibly get on a machine like this. All in all though, we've come up with some really neat finishes. So this one here, I printed using just our standard nozzle. It came out pretty well. You can see a few layer lines though, which was to be expected. But I made it so it utilizes a standard tire, or the tires that come off this model, because it looks the most original and looks probably the neatest. Another option was making my own tire, and I did do that. I ended up making a tire out of TPU, which is like kind of a rubber style material. It does have some sort of flexibility to it, but not a great deal. The idea behind printing my own tire was I could make it a little bit bigger, because I wasn't sure whether this was going to look out of proportion, being that this is actually a 15-inch rim compared to a 14-inch rim in real scale terms. And then I went and made a full PLA version using a much smaller nozzle. So the nozzles on the thrusters usually run a 0.4mm nozzle, and I bought a 0.25, which is their smallest nozzle. Printed in that, and the detail is absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but the detail and lines are so much nicer than using the big nozzle. I was even to the point where these little wheel nuts here, I drew them with the studs in them. So in the CAD drawing, you can see the stud coming through the wheel nut. Now when I printed it on the original nozzle, you couldn't see that definition, but when I printed on the smaller nozzle, you can actually see the wheel stud inside the wheel nut, which is incredible. The way that these rims work is I printed them in two pieces, so they come apart like that. The idea is we can put them inside the tire, put a little glue on the inside face, and then glue them together like that, and then it will be a solid rim inside either the original tire or a new printed tire. We're not sure yet. But anyway, we need to keep moving forward. Now, back in the day, one of the modifications that you would see on HZ front ends or something like that would be to take an original Holden Caprice grill, because a Holden Caprice grill had this top section here, which is standard, then it would have the bumper bar go all the way through, and then it had a bottom section of grill as well too. So there were two separate pieces that looked like they went behind the bumper bar. Now what Dad did, and what was pretty common back in the day, you would get a second HZ Caprice grill and basically make a join between the top section and the bottom section, remove the bumper bar, and you had one really big grill like you see here. And now we need to replicate that on the scale model. To do that, what I've been doing is, before I went and actually started to model this grill, which would mean that I'd have to put all the surrounds and everything around it, including the actual grill feature itself, where it's got all the little squares and everything. What I went and did was make a standard grill replacement, so the same size as this one. I printed that out just to make sure that it's actually going to fit inside the grill area itself. So I printed that out, made basically a blank plate, found out that fit, yep, beautiful. Then I had to work on getting the depth right. So I printed out this piece here, and then I was able to get that to sit in place as well too. The idea of this piece was to try and get my depth, or the length of the grill, correct. In order to get this to work, what I had to do was I had to put in these relief cuts. The reason being is because it needs to clear this part of the front radiator support panel here. These two pieces where the bumper bar sits under, they cut into where the grill needs to run. They can't be there. So yeah, we're gonna have to cut and shut it, which is what I'm gonna do today. Once we have the nose cone cut out, then we can then get this grill, which is another one I've made, just the same template as this one here, just without the cutouts. Get that, make sure that it fits in the hole that we create. Once it does that, then I know that this area is going to fit, and then I can start designing and making all those intricate pieces inside this grill to make this flat piece look like this, just double the length. Yeah, let's start cutting, I guess. That fits up absolutely perfect. Alright, so this is pretty much as far as we've gotten right now as a mock-up, and this is pretty much the shape that it's going to be. Like, it has pretty much everything on there that it's going to need. Bathurst wheels, the rear spoiler, the Tirana scoop, double Caprice front grille thing, and the cut bar, and the lip spoiler as well too. At the moment it's all blue tack together. I just did it to try and get a feel. From here now, what we need to do is strip the car back down, and we need to start prepping it for paint. So that's going to be masking it, sanding it, priming it, and then we're going to basically get to that stage so then we can paint everything in one go, and then we can start assembling it. The grill, a lot of different designs for it, trying to get to work. You can see this one is a solid grill, so the mesh is not actually see-through, it's solid, because I was worried that the printer wouldn't be able to print mesh. But as it turns out, if I use this one for example, the printer actually does a really, really good job of printing that mesh out. I'm still working on the grill, it's not finalized yet. In fact, another 2 here, which I think should be my final versions. Just printed 2 just in case we break them when we're trying to get them ready for paint, because they are really, really delicate. Anyways, we'll start stripping down the model now and getting it ready to paint.
We're going to do the flat areas of the car, like the main body parts. We're going to actually hit with some 800, wet 800, to try to flatten it out so it looks a bit more nicer. Give that a go and hopefully get all these stripes off, which looks like we are. Just hit it just then roughly, and it's, yeah, taking all the stripes off, which is good. We'll do this for the next 10 hours.
Back in the day in the factory.
We just pretend we're giants.
The smallest Bathurst globes you've ever seen. I'm going to do really fine coat. So we're trying to paint it really, really lightly. Everything is so small and so intricate, we don't want to end up with any runs, and we don't want to end up with any bulk areas of primer. So Michael in me wants to just hit it really, really hard, but the Nathan in me is going to tell me to stop. So we've done 2 coats so far. I'll probably do 1 more coat just to be sure, because I can see a few spots that I missed, and I'll probably do it with a light so I can actually see what I'm doing. But overall, it's looking pretty good, and it dries super quick too, so another 5 minutes I'll probably do another coat. Next up, we're probably ready to actually put some paint down on this thing and some colour, and see how it looks then. That's what's going to really make this thing look cool, I reckon. It's already cool seeing it in primer, because now it's all the one colour. I'd love to assemble it all in primer, but I'm not going to do that, because we still need to sand it and prep it and everything before we paint. So this is our makeshift booth, just because we're using 2-pack. All our pieces are hung up, they're ready to go. Everything's been sanded, so we sanded it all down to, I think we sanded it to 800, wasn't it, Daniel? 800 wet and dry, yeah?
We did, yeah.
So everything's pretty much ready to go. Anyway, let's see how we go.
It'll look dark like this, but once it thins out,
Yeah, I really like it. But I think me and Michael are very glad we didn't do this. 100% we would have stuffed this up, 100%.
Alright, how we go, Josh?
good. We got 3 to 4 nice coats of base coat on. Went and covered all the edges nice. It's actually looking like, it looks pretty good for a model car.
It looks legit, it looks really good.
Yeah, the colour looks a lot more silver, like we were saying before. Not as dark blue as we thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's coming together pretty good. Very intricate with the small hanging pieces, but we may do. So now just mix up some clear. We'll get a nice tack coat on there, and then we'll finish with one nice, decent, medium wet one, and good as a real car.
Yeah.
These are the only photos that we've ever seen of it, because obviously these are taken from real photos. The colour's obviously faded because of that, and you can see the washout in the white HQ Stato behind as well too. So this colour is actually the real colour. Atlantis blue, that is the colour, that's what Dad always told us it was. If it wasn't, then we've made a mistake. But
Well, it is now.
yeah, and I was worried because you can see Atlantis blue sometimes get coloured, can be really, really blue.
Yeah.
And I was worried it might actually not look anything like this, but it looks like it's actually laid very close to that, just a bit darker, which is exactly what we wanted.
Beautiful. We got 4 coats of colour in there, 2 coats of clear. It's looking schmick. I can't wait to see it all put back together. I'm pretty stoked with it.
Yeah, so a couple of days, we'll let it sit.
Yeah, it's
so
a
that we
bit
don't
colder,
damage
so
it.
let it sit for a bit, let the paint really cure before you guys can touch it, and yeah, throw it back together.
Perfect.
So,
Thanks for your help.
no worries.
Okay, well, we have our finished result.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Like, that looks so good. I actually love the color. Like, I've never actually seen this color in person. It looks so, so good. I can't wait to get this assembled and actually see what it looks like.
But overall, the paint worked out really well. It went really flat as well too, so we still kept all our detail, like stuff in this scuttle panel and stuff like that. We still got all our lines. Really happy with it. The color itself looks actually surprisingly a lot closer to the original photos than I thought it was going to. Atlantis blue is the color that Dad said it was, so if it's not the right color, then it's Dad's fault, because that's what he's told us all these years. So anyway, from here, what we're going to do now is we're going to start to strip it down and take all the tape off, and then we need to mask it to do the final bit of painting, which is stuff like the silver on the sills here, the silver in the flutes, and a little bit of work to the bumpers and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, let's
Get into it.
get some tape off. So now that we have the model basically painted all in its blue, and it is looking really, really good, to be honest. I'm actually amazed at how well of a job we did at masking this up, because neither Daniel or I usually have the patience for something so tedious, which is why we don't paint. The last thing that we need to do now is we need to start painting in the final features and stuff like that. So really all we have left to do on the body itself is we need to paint in some silver. And by the silver, what I'm talking about is Dad had silver in the GDS flutes. He had the silver like Premier trim on the bottom of the sill. So we need to paint that and paint them in. So we're going to mask up the whole car, and we're going to spray that on because that'll give us the nicest finish. And I've got some silver paint already, some model paint. We use that to paint the wheels, and the wheels have come up really, really nice as well too. Aside from the silver, we also need to paint some black in. We need to paint some black in to the center hub of these wheels. Hub section is all black, so we'll do that as well. And the last thing that we need to paint is we need to paint in the chrome. The chrome needs to be painted in on the bumperettes and around the grille. Now, chrome paint is something that I've never really had much success with. I've bought it many times in the past, painted it, and it looks pretty terrible. It just looks like shiny silver. Until I came across this stuff. This stuff is Green Stuff World Chrome Paint. I was very skeptical when I got it. I thought, how good's it going to be? But I can tell you, just by the very quick little trial that I did with it, it is actually really, really impressive what it'll come up with. So I painted a couple of old pieces to see how they will come up. And the chrome look on it is actually really, really nice. It actually looks like real chrome. I'm really impressed with it. So I'm going to have a crack at that. This is a little bit tedious because it comes out really, really watery. So you got to be careful it doesn't just run away. And don't knock the bottle over like I did and lose half of it. And now I have shiny cardboard. Because we're hoping if we can paint everything today, then hopefully tomorrow we could start assembling the majority of it. They're good little cans.
The center's black, isn't it?
That's what we've ended up with. Really happy with the headlight surrounds. I think they've turned out really well. The wheels look really good. Daniel did a killer job on them. Really happy with that.
A bit of chrome on the wheel nuts actually. Just a little dab.
A little dab. Okay, well, today is the day, the long-awaited day of reassembly. So we have pretty much everything painted. We're really happy with how the silver has turned out on the car as well too, around the flutes
and along the sill. But today is the day we're going to try to put it together. Now we have to remember how we put it together. I guess we just sort of get stuck into it and see how far we get. Okay, so now what we need to do is we need to look at the lettering on these tires. Dad has lettering on the tires, real 80 spec or 70 spec, whatever you want to call it. And to be honest, I really love it in this car because it looks sort of NASCAR-y. But what that lettering actually says is Bridgestone steel belted 60. Now rather than trying to hand paint that, as good a sign writer as Daniel is,
Not that good.
not that good, what we're going to do is we're going to use a stamp. So I've made this. So this is 3D printed to basically the inverse or the reverse of the text. It's just a circle puck with some raised lettering on it. It's not going to be perfect on the tire, but at least it might be something.
We're going to paint this lettering white as a stamp, and the plan is we're literally just going to stamp it onto the wheel. So what we need to do is we need to make sure we're getting this centered to make sure it looks really symmetrical on the wheel.
Yep, so what we did is we printed another piece, which is just coming out of the printer now. Hot off the printer, as some might say. And this is basically our sleeve. So what we do is we sit this side over the wheel like this.
Yep.
That sits like that.
And then that should just go in there like that and press it on. And away we go.
As simple as that.
In theory that should work. Let's see if it does. Alright, so there we go. This won't come out perfect, but as long as it gets close enough.
Give it a nice press, I reckon.
That's not bad.
Look, if it came out half as good as that, I'd be pretty happy with it.
Ta-da! That's the best that we're going to get.
Alright, there is our 1970s style HQ bar. Alright, well that is pretty much done and dusted. I can tell you this has been an absolutely massive effort. Bigger than we actually expected it would be to begin with. I really had no idea just how much effort we were going to have to go to try and get the finished product of what we see here today. But all in all, I'm really happy with the result. I mean, there's a couple of things that we could try and fix up and that I'd like to try and get even better than what we have, but at some point you need to go, that's it, it's done, and hand it over, because otherwise we'll be here for days trying to get this thing perfect. It has turned out looking absolutely awesome. The color is spot on. A big thank you to Josh for helping us paint this thing. At the end of the day, this is what we were trying to replicate, and I think we've pretty much got it as close as we're possibly going to get it for this car. What you see in these photos is pretty much what you see here in the model now. I think it illustrates exactly what we were trying to get across, which is a rebuild in a miniature scale of Dad's HQ Monaro all those years ago.
I couldn't see us doing a better result, to be honest. Like, not to toot our own horn, but I think we've absolutely like knocked the ball out of the park here. Like, we've done such a good job. Happy birthday, Dad. Happy 70th.
Yeah, happy birthday, Dad, and thank you for everything. Obviously, big thank you to everyone who watched this. Hope you enjoyed it as well too. Something very different for our channel. It's not something that we've ever really done before. If you have liked it, I hope you consider liking and subscribing. It goes a really long way to supporting this channel. I don't think we're going to see much more of this on this channel, but who knows? Who knows what the future looks like? And yeah, I guess the only thing left to do now is to hand him the keys, I guess.
very tiny keys.
Yeah. Anyway, see you next episode.
Can we return this and then just say some of the parts are missing?
Yeah. Didn't come with a spoiler.
Just because Nathan wasn't here, I do it in his honour. We slammed the models and we turned the wheels around backwards on the coupe, so it's got centre lines. There you go, Nathan. We're always thinking of you.
Yeah. But
Other than that,
I'll take that off now actually while I'm here. How bad is it?
I was just thinking it's weird that you look at the model here and then in the background, there's two of the real things just sitting there. Not a bad model shop.
no, it's not.
We've got our helper today. Hey, Buck. Buck. Hey. So whilst looking for the models that we needed to make this thing, I found that Car Collectibles make a HQ of pretty much exactly my HQ, so I couldn't help myself. I had to get it as well too. And I've had that Sandman one, which is a different brand, for years, but it's kind of cool to see them all together.